The alarm rang through the Galactic Communications Hub like a death bell. Red lights flashed across the massive control room where beings from 30 different worlds worked together. Operator Vex 9, a tall blue creature with 4 arms, looked at the incoming signal with growing worry. The message came from far away, from a place called 442. It was a cry for help that made Vex 9's hearts beat faster. The transmission was weak and full of static, but the words were clear enough. "This is Captain of the colony ship Wanderer's Hope. We are dying. Our engines have failed. We are trapped in orbit around a gas giant. 50,000 souls aboard, including children. Life support is failing. We have maybe 6 days before our ship breaks apart. Please, someone help us." Vex 9 played the message 3 times before believing it. 50,000 lives. The number was too big to understand. The operator's 4 hands moved quickly across the control panel, sending the message to every major civilization in the galaxy. The response came fast from the Advanced Republic. Their leader, Prime Mind Altus 7, appeared on the screen as a shimmering silver form. "We have received the distress call. Our calculations show the journey would take 3 months at maximum speed. The energy cost would be enormous. The risk to our ships is too high. We cannot help." Vex 9 felt cold inside, but tried again. The next call went to the Council, the oldest and group in the galaxy. Elder Centaurus appeared on screen, her ancient face marked with centuries of knowledge. "Young one," she said in her slow, careful voice, "we understand the pain of this situation, but wisdom tells us that some things cannot be changed. The distance is too great. Our ships would arrive too late. We will send our prayers to the dying ones." The Vegan Empire came next. General Vega Prime stood in his war room, surrounded by maps of star systems. His red eyes looked angry, but not at the problem. "Operator, our fleet is strong and our ships are fast, but offers no strategic value to the Empire. We cannot risk our vessels and warriors for strangers who chose to settle in such a dangerous place. They made their choice." One by one, the answers came back. Each civilization had a reason. Each reason sounded smart and careful. They said their ships were too busy with trade routes. The Tau claimed their technology was not right for this kind of rescue. The Federation said they were having their own problems. In the hub, Vex 9 watched as every major power in the galaxy said no. The operator had worked here for 20 years and had never seen anything like it. Usually, when someone asked for help, at least one group would try to do something. But not this time. The Wanderer's Hope sent another message 12 hours later. Captain's voice was weaker now. "Hull breach in Section 7. We have sealed it for now, but more cracks are appearing. The children are scared. Please, is anyone coming?" Vex 9 sent the new message to all the civilizations again. Maybe the growing danger would change their minds. But the answers were the same. "Sorry, but no. Too far, too dangerous, too expensive." They sent a technical analysis showing exactly why the rescue was impossible. The Council offered to hold a memorial service. The Vegan Empire suggested that they should have thought about these risks before leaving home. Days passed. More messages came from the dying ship. The life support was failing faster than expected. Food was running low. Some of the older were already getting sick from the bad air. Captain's messages became desperate. "We are not asking for much, just enough ships to take our children. Let our young ones live, please." But the galaxy stayed quiet. In the communications hub, other operators began to avoid Vex 9. They did not want to hear the messages from the doomed ship. They did not want to see the lists of civilizations that kept saying no. Vex 9 kept sending the messages anyway. Maybe someone would change their mind. Maybe someone would remember what it felt like to need help. On the 4th day, a small message came from a planet that most people had forgotten about. Earth. The humans were new to the galaxy, only 30 years since first contact. They had slow ships and simple technology. Most advanced civilizations thought of them as children playing with toys. The message was short. "We have received your transmission. We are preparing to help. Expect Earth ships in approximately 90 days. Vex 9 stared at the screen. Earth, the humans? Their ships would take even longer than anyone else to reach 442. They had no experience with deep space rescues. They barely had enough technology to keep their own people alive in space. The operator sent a message back. "Are you certain? This mission is extremely dangerous. Many other civilizations have decided it cannot be done." The answer came back quickly. We understand the risks. We are coming anyway. Vex 9 looked around the communications hub. The other operators had stopped their work. They were all staring at the message from Earth. Nobody spoke. Finally, Vex 9 sent the news to Captain on the Wanderer's Hope. Help is coming. The humans from Earth are on their way. There was a long pause before Captain responded. When she did, her voice was full of confusion and hope. Humans? But why? We have never even met them. Why would they risk everything for strangers? Vex 9 had no answer. The operator had asked the same question. Why would the weakest civilization in the galaxy try to do what all the strongest ones refused to do? The galaxy watched and waited. Some thought the humans were fools. Others wondered if there was something they had all missed. But everyone agreed on one thing. If the humans failed, 50,000 would die and no one else was coming to save them. The countdown had begun. 6 days had become 3. And somewhere in the darkness of space, human ships were burning through the void, racing against time to reach people they had never met. Admiral Sarah stood in the command center of Terran Space Command, staring at the holographic display floating in front of her. The image showed a dying ship millions of miles away, filled with people she had never met. Around her, the room buzzed with quiet conversations as her officers tried to make sense of what they were seeing. "Ma'am," said Commander, her second in command, "the message is confirmed. 50,000 civilians trapped in a failing ship. But Admiral, every major power in the galaxy has already said no. There must be a good reason." Touched the display and the image zoomed in on the Wanderer's Hope. Even from this distance, she could see the damage. Dark spots marked where the hull was cracking. Small clouds of gas showed where air was leaking into space. "What do our experts say about the rescue?" asked. Dr. Williams, the head of space operations, stepped forward with a tablet in his hands. His face was serious. "Admiral, it would take our fastest ships 4 months to reach them. We would need at least 20 large vessels to evacuate that many people. The problem is, we do not have 20 large ships that can make such a long journey." "What do we have?" asked. 12 military ships that could make the trip, maybe 6 civilian cargo haulers, a few research vessels. But Admiral, none of our ships are designed to carry thousands of refugees. We would have to strip out equipment, pack people into cargo holds, hope our life support systems can handle the load. Lieutenant Park, the communications officer, spoke up from her station. "Admiral, I am getting more messages from the galaxy. They are warning us that this mission is impossible. The Council says we are too young to understand the risks. The vegan empire thinks we are being foolish." Walked to the large window that looked out over Earth's orbital stations. She could see construction ships building new platforms, cargo haulers bringing supplies from the moon, passenger ships carrying people between the space elevators. Busy, normal life. "Tell me about those," said. Dr. Williams touched his tablet. "Plant-based life forms. They breathe oxygen like us, but they need higher humidity. Their body temperature runs cooler than humans. They have been peaceful traders for centuries. No military power, no strategic resources, no reason for anyone to help them except that they are dying," finished. The room went quiet. Thought about her grandmother, who had died 2 years ago at the age of 98. The old woman had lived through World War II, had seen the evacuation at Dunkirk when she was a child. Grandmother had told stories about how ordinary people had taken their fishing boats and pleasure craft across dangerous water to save soldiers trapped on a beach. Everyone said it was impossible then too, whispered to herself. "Admiral," Commander asked. Turned back to face her officers. "How many ships do we have total? Not just the big ones, everything that can fly in space and carry people." Dr. Williams looked confused but checked his tablet. "If we count everything, military ships, cargo haulers, research vessels, passenger liners, private yachts, mining ships, construction platforms that could be moved, maybe 120 ships. But Admiral, most of those are not designed for deep space travel. Some of them are barely. But they can fly. Well, yes, but... And they can carry people. Some of them, but Admiral, you cannot be serious. Half of those ships would break down before they reached the edge of our solar system." Walked back to the holographic display. She stared at the dying ship for a long moment. Then she turned to face her staff. "Prep the fleet," she said quietly. The room went silent. Admiral said, "All available ships, military, civilian, cargo haulers, research vessels, passenger liners, private yachts. If it can fly and carry people, I want it ready in 48 hours. Dr. Williams stepped forward. Admiral, this is crazy. We do not have the resources. Our ships are not designed for this. No one else is going because it cannot be done. Looked at him with steady eyes. Doctor, 50,000 people are going to die if no one helps them. Every advanced civilization in the galaxy has decided that saving them is too hard, too expensive, too risky. Maybe they are right. Maybe we will fail, but we are going to try. But why? Lieutenant Park asked. We do not even know these people. They are not our allies. We get nothing from saving them. Smiled sadly. Because they asked for help, because they have children on that ship, because no one else will go. She paused. Because if we were trapped out there, dying in the dark, I would hope someone would come for us. The room stayed quiet for a moment. Then Commander straightened his shoulders. What are your orders, Admiral? Send a message to every ship captain, every company, every private owner. Tell them what we are planning. Ask for volunteers. Tell them it is dangerous and we might fail. Looked around the room. But also tell them that 50,000 people are counting on us. Within 6 hours, his communication system was overloaded with responses. Ship captains volunteered their vessels. Crews signed up for a mission they might not survive. Companies offered their cargo haulers. Rich people gave their private ships. Even retired vessels were pulled out of mothballs and checked for. Captain Tours of the cargo hauler Big Sky sent a message that made smile. Admiral, my ship is old and ugly, but she has never failed me. If you need someone to carry refugees, I am your man. Dr. Sarah, who ran a small research vessel, volunteered her ship and her medical team. Admiral, I study alien biology. Maybe I can help with the refugees. Messages came from all over Earth and the colonies. Young officers wanted to join the mission. Old spacers came out of retirement. Engineers worked around the clock to modify ships for carrying passengers instead of cargo. The news media called it crazy. Some politicians said it was a waste of resources. But for every person who said no, 10 more said yes. Stood in her office late at night, looking at the list of volunteers. 122 ships, crews from 50 nations. People who had never met each other, preparing to fly into the unknown to save strangers. Her communication system beeped. A new message from the Wanderer's Hope. This is Captain. We received word that Earth ships are coming. Our people do not understand. Why are you helping us? We have nothing to offer you. Recorded her reply carefully. Captain, this is Admiral of Earth. We are coming because you need help. No other reason is necessary. Hold on, we will be there. She sent the message and returned to the preparation reports. 2 days to launch, 4 months to travel, and 50,000 lives depending on a plan that everyone said was impossible. Did not care what everyone said. Her grandmother had taught her that sometimes impossible just meant that no one had tried hard enough yet. The human fleet left Earth like a river of lights flowing into the darkness. 122 ships of every size and shape, from massive military vessels to tiny research pods. Admiral watched from the bridge of the UES Tenacity as her unlikely armada jumped to hyperspace, each ship disappearing in a flash of blue light. The first week was the hardest. 3 cargo ships broke down before they even left the solar system. Their engines were too old for such a long journey, had to make a painful choice, continue with the broken ships moving slowly or leave them behind to keep the schedule. She chose to keep moving. Every day they delayed meant they had less chance of survival. Captain Tours in the Big Sky was the first to report serious problems. Admiral, my environmental systems are acting up. The air recyclers are working harder than they should. I think the extra passenger pods we installed are using too much power. Listen to similar reports from 20 other ships. The quick modifications they had made on Earth were causing new problems in deep space. Ships designed to carry cargo were struggling to support the life support systems needed for refugees. Dr. Williams worked with engineering teams across the fleet to solve each problem. They shared solutions over the communication network. When the research vessel Bright Star figured out how to boost power to life support systems, they sent the plans to every other ship that needed it. But the hardest part was not the machines, it was the waiting. Every day, Captain sent reports from the Wanderer's Hope. The news was always bad. Hull breaches were getting bigger, more sections had to be sealed off. The air was getting thinner and harder to breathe. Admiral, Captain said in one message, we have lost Section 12 completely. We are moving people to the central areas, but space is running out. The children are asking when the rescue ships will arrive. What should I tell them? Recorded her answer carefully. Tell them we are coming as fast as we can. Tell them that Earth ships do not give up. Doctor, the fleet's chief medical officer, spent his days studying everything he could learn about biology. The aliens had sent detailed information about their bodies, hoping the human doctors could help prepare for the rescue. Admiral reported after 2 weeks of study, they are very different from us. They need more moisture in the air. Their blood carries oxygen differently. If we just put them in human life support systems, some of them might die. Felt her stomach drop. What do we need to do? We have to modify our systems again. Add humidity generators, adjust the air mixture, change the temperature controls. It will take time and a lot of work. How much time? If we work around the clock, we can modify maybe half the fleet by the time we reach them. The other half will have to use emergency systems. Made another hard choice. She ordered the fleet to slow down slightly, giving the engineers more time to make the modifications they needed. It meant arriving 6 days later, but those 6 days might save lives. The work never stopped. During the day, engineers modified life support systems and installed new equipment. At night, medical teams studied alien biology and planned for treating wounded refugees. Everyone worked extra shifts because they knew that 50,000 lives depended on their preparation. Month 2 brought different problems. Lieutenant Park reported that several ships were running low on food. The journey was taking longer than expected, and they had packed for cruise, not for carrying refugees on the way back. Admiral, said Captain Martinez from the passenger liner Star Dancer, if we are going to carry 2,000 on the return trip, we need a lot more food. My ship's food processors cannot handle that many people. Ordered the cargo ships to share their emergency food supplies with the passenger vessels. It was a risk. If something went wrong during the rescue, they might not have enough food for the return journey. But if they did not prepare to feed the rescue would fail anyway. The fleet also faced attacks from space pirates in the outer reaches. 3 small raider ships tried to capture the medical vessel Hope's Light, thinking it carried valuable cargo. They learned quickly that human cargo ships traveled with military escorts. The pirate attack lasted only 10 minutes. Human fighters drove off the raiders without losing a single ship, but it reminded everyone that they were far from home, flying through dangerous space with no backup coming. Communication with the Wanderer's Hope became harder as the distance grew. Messages took longer to reach each other. Sometimes they lost contact for days because of solar storms or equipment failures. When messages did get through, the news was always worse. Captain's voice grew weaker each time. More were getting sick from the bad air. Food was almost gone. The youngest children were suffering the most. Admiral, Captain said in a message that reached the fleet during month 3, we have sealed off everything except the central core. 15,000 people are crowded into spaces meant for 5,000. We are losing people every day now. The doctors say we have maybe 2 weeks before complete life support failure. Did the math. At their current speed, the fleet would reach in 18 days. Push the engines harder, she ordered. All ships maximum safe speed. I do not care if some systems break down. We can fix machines. We cannot bring back dead people. The fleet increased speed, and more ships started having problems. The passenger liner Galaxy Dream lost 2 of its 4 engines. The cargo hauler Iron Mountain had to shut down half its power systems to keep moving, but they kept flying. Doctor sent his final report 2 days before arrival. Admiral, we have modified 70% of our ships for refugees. We have medical teams ready. We have food and water prepared. But Admiral, I have to tell you the truth. We are not ready for this. We are flying by guesswork and hope. Looked at the report and then at the fleet status display. Broken ships, tired crews, improvised equipment, and a rescue plan that depended on everything going perfectly. She thought about Captain's messages, about children crowded into failing life support systems, about people who had given up hope until Earth responded to their cry for help. Doctor replied, guesswork and hope have gotten us this far. Let us see how much farther they can take us. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the 442 system. Ahead of them, sensors showed the gas giant and its dying moon. Somewhere in orbit around that giant planet, 50,000 were waiting to learn if the impossible rescue would work. The race against time had become a race against death itself. Admiral stared at the main screen and felt her heart sink. The Wanderer's hope was dying before their eyes. The colony ship looked nothing like the pictures they had received months ago. Massive cracks ran along the hull like black lightning. Pieces of metal floated around it in a deadly cloud of debris. Atmosphere vented from dozens of holes, creating ghostly streams of gas that sparkled in the light of the gas giant below. "Admiral," Lieutenant Park reported from her station, "I am reading catastrophic structural failure. The ship's computer estimates complete hull breach in 14 hours, maybe less." 50,000 people, Commander whispered. "How do we get them all off in 14 hours? Activated the fleet communication system. "All ships, this is Admiral. You can see what we are facing. This is not the rescue we planned for. This is not going to be clean or easy, but those people down there are counting on us. I need ideas, and I need them now." The responses came quickly from across the fleet. Captain Torres in the Big Sky was the first to speak. "Admiral, my cargo ship has industrial tractor beams. What if we use them to hold the broken parts together while people evacuate?" Doctor from the research vessel Bright Star added, "Admiral, I have atmospheric containment fields for specimen collection. They are small, but maybe we can link them together to seal some of the holes." Captain Martinez from Star Dancer said, "Admiral, my passenger liner has the fastest airlocks in the fleet. We can set up evacuation chains, multiple ships feeding people to the larger vessels." Felt hope growing. This was what humans did best. When the plan failed, they made a new plan. When the new plan failed, they made it up as they went along. "Do it," she ordered. "All ships coordinate with Commander. Torres, get those tractor beams on the worst cracks. Start linking your containment fields. Martinez, set up evacuation chains. Everyone else prepare to receive refugees." The human fleet swarmed around the dying alien ship like insects around a wounded animal. But these insects were here to heal, not to harm. Captain Torres positioned the Big Sky directly against the largest hull breach, a crack nearly 100 meters long that was splitting wider every minute. His tractor beams created an invisible framework around the break, holding the metal together through sheer force. "Admiral," Torres reported, "I am reading massive structural stress. My ship is taking damage from the pressure, but the crack has stopped growing. I can hold this for maybe 6 hours before my systems fail." Doctors' research vessels worked together to create a network of atmospheric containment fields. The small fields were designed to hold air samples for study, but linked together they could seal smaller holes in the hull. It was like putting bandages on a giant wound. The evacuation began with chaos and became organized through desperation. Human shuttles flew into the Wanderer's Hope through damaged airlocks. They found frightened families huddled in dark corridors where the lights had failed. The aliens looked like walking trees, tall and thin with bark-like skin and leaves instead of hair. Many of them were sick from breathing bad air for so long. "They are so scared," reported Pilot Jackson from his shuttle. "Some of them do not want to come. They do not trust our ships." Switch to the communication channel. "Captain, this is Admiral. Your people are afraid of our ships. Can you help us?" Captain's voice came through weak and tired. "Admiral, my people have never seen humans before. Your ships look strange to them, and some of our elders believe it is better to die with honor than be saved by aliens." "Captain, we do not have time for fear or honor. Your ship is breaking apart. Will you help us convince your people to board our shuttles?" There was a pause. Then Captain spoke again, this time broadcasting to all, "My people, these strange beings have traveled farther than anyone in our history to save us. They have risked everything to be here. If we die from pride, we dishonor their sacrifice. Go with them. Live." The evacuation moved faster after that. Human and crew members worked together to move the sick and wounded first, then families with children, then everyone else. Doctor set up emergency medical stations on 3 different ships. Biology was even stranger than they had expected, but human doctors learned quickly. They discovered that the aliens' blood carried oxygen in their sap, and that their leaves needed to be kept moist or they would suffocate. "Spray them with water," ordered his medical teams. "Keep their leaves wet, increase humidity to 90%, and be gentle. Their bark looks tough, but it bruises easily." Hours passed, the evacuation continued, but the Wanderer's Hope was dying faster than they could empty it. "Admiral," Commander reported, We have evacuated 38,000 people, 12,000 still aboard, but Torres reports his ship is failing. The tractor beams cannot hold much longer. Watched the big sky on her screen. The cargo ship was glowing from the strain of holding the alien vessel together. Parts of its hull were beginning to buckle. Torres, get your ship out of there, ordered. You have done enough. Negative, Admiral, Torres replied. Still have people inside that section. I can hold for 30 more minutes, maybe 45 if I push the engines past safe limits. Captain, if your ship is destroyed, you cannot save anyone. Admiral, if I let go now, that whole section collapses and kills 3,000. I am staying. Closed her eyes. This was the kind of choice no admiral should have to make, but Torres had already made it for her. All shuttles concentrate on Torres' section, she ordered. Get those people out now. The next 30 minutes felt like hours. Shuttles flew in and out of the collapsing section, carrying as many as they could fit. The hull around them groaned and cracked. Metal supports snapped with sounds like thunder. Last shuttle clear, Pilot Jackson reported. Section is empty. Torres, get out of there. But it was too late. The hull section finally collapsed, and the big sky was caught in the destruction. The cargo ship's engines failed, and it began to fall toward the gas giant below. Torres called, report. Static filled the channel for several seconds. Then Torres' voice came through, weak but alive. Admiral, my ship is dead, but my crew is safe. The passenger liner Galaxy Dream picked us up. We got them all out, Admiral, every last in that section. Felt tears she had been holding back for hours. Well done, Captain. The final evacuations continued. As the Wanderer's hope began its final collapse, the last was pulled to safety with only minutes to spare. The ancient colony ship broke apart in a silent explosion of metal and gas, ending a journey that had lasted generations. But 50,000 were alive, scattered across 120 human ships, scared and confused but breathing and safe. Admiral, Lieutenant Park reported, all refugees accounted for, no casualties during the evacuation. Looked at her fleet status display. 17 ships had taken serious damage. The big sky was gone completely. Half their food supplies were used up. They faced a 4-month journey home with 50,000 extra passengers and ships that were barely holding together. But they had done the impossible. They had saved every single life on the Wanderer's hope. Set course for home, ordered, and send a message to Earth. Tell them we are coming back and we are bringing friends. 6 months after the rescue, Admiral Sarah stood in the Garden of Terra, the colony world that had once been called 442b. Around her, tall tree-like beings with bark skin and leafy hair worked alongside humans to build a city unlike any other in the galaxy. They had named their new world Terra, which meant land of thanks in their ancient language. Every building, every street, every park was a monument to the day when strangers from Earth had risked everything to save them. Admiral, said a familiar voice behind her. Captain approached, her leaves rustling in the gentle wind. The looked healthier than had ever seen her, with bright green leaves and bark that gleamed in the sunlight. Just Sarah now, replied with a smile. I am retired, remember. Made a sound that had learned was laughter. A warrior like you does not retire, she just finds new battles to fight. They walked together through the garden, past fountains that mixed human engineering with art. Human children played with young, sharing toys and learning each other's languages. It was a sight that made heart warm. Any news from the galaxy? Asked. Pulled out a communication device and showed the latest reports. They have contacted Earth about forming a technology-sharing agreement. They want to learn how we modified our ship so quickly during the rescue. The Council has invited human diplomats to their next meeting. Even the vegan empire is asking about military cooperation. Leaves rustled again. They ignored our cries for help, but now they want to be friends with our rescuers. It is more than that, said. The rescue changed something in the galaxy. Other species are questioning how they make decisions. They have created an emergency response fleet. The Tau are developing new rescue technologies. Everyone is trying to prove they care about helping others. Showed another message on her device. This came in yesterday, a distress call from the Rigel system, mining colony trapped underground. The Council and 6 other civilizations all volunteered to help, but guess who is leading the rescue fleet? Earth guessed. Earth confirmed. Captain Martinez is taking the Star Dancer and 15 other ships. The galaxy has learned something important when people need help. Call the humans first. They stopped at a memorial in the center of the garden. It was simple, a black stone with the names of every human ship that had participated in the rescue. At the top was the name Big Sky and its captain, Tors. The cargo ship had been destroyed during the rescue, but Tors and his crew had all survived. He still sends messages, said, touching Tors' name on the memorial. He is working on a new ship now, says it will be bigger and faster than the Big Sky, wants to be ready for the next rescue mission. Placed one of her branch-like hands on shoulder. Sarah, may I ask you something that has puzzled my people since the rescue? Of course. Why did you come? Your advisors told you it was impossible. Your own people said it was foolish. The greatest powers in the galaxy refused to help. You had no reason to risk everything for strangers, yet you came anyway. Why? Had been asked this question many times over the past 6 months. By reporters, by diplomats, by other military officers, by her own family. The answer was always the same, but it never seemed to satisfy anyone. Because you asked for help, said simply. Sleeves moved in what knew was confusion. But that cannot be the only reason. There must be something else. Some benefit for Earth, some strategic advantage, some logical reason? Smiled. Captain, my grandmother lived through World War II on Earth. She told me stories about that war, about how ordinary people did extraordinary things to save strangers. She said that when someone needs help, you help them. You do not ask what you will get in return. You do not calculate the cost. You just help. They walked to the edge of the garden, where they could see the spaceport. Human and ships shared the landing pads. Trade, goods, technology, and knowledge flowed between the two species like blood in shared veins. The strange thing, said, is that by helping us without asking for anything in return, your species gained more than any of the others who refused to help. We share our technology with Earth freely. We have become your closest allies. Our trade agreement benefits both worlds. Nodded, my grandmother would have called that karma. Do good and good comes back to you. But she would also say that is not why you do good in the first place. A new message appeared on his communication device. She read it and smiled. What is it? Asked. Another rescue mission. Deep space exploration ship lost in a nebula, crew of 200. They say it is too dangerous to reach them. The Council thinks the risk is too high. The vegan empire says the ship has no strategic value. And Earth. Earth is preparing another fleet. Captain is leading this one. She says her research vessels are perfect for navigating through nebula gases. Put away the device. The galaxy is learning that Earth has a different way of doing things. As the sun set over Terra, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, and watched families return home from work. Human and walking together, sharing their day's experiences. Sarah said quietly, when the history of this galaxy is written, I think they will mark 2 ages. Before the rescue and after, your species did not just save 50,000. You saved the soul of galactic civilization. Was quiet for a moment, thinking about the communications that kept coming to Earth. Distress calls, requests for help, invitations to join rescue missions. The galaxy had learned that when someone was in trouble, there was one species that would always answer. I hope you are right, said. I hope the galaxy remembers this lesson, because there will always be people who need help. There will always be ships lost in the dark, colonies facing disaster, refugees fleeing from war, and someone has to be willing to answer when they call. A communication alert sounded from the spaceport. Another message was coming in, another cry for help from somewhere in the vast galaxy. Looked at and smiled. Shall we go see who needs saving today? Together, the retired human admiral and the captain walked toward the communication center. Behind them, the memorial stood silent in the growing darkness, a reminder that sometimes the greatest victory was not in conquering enemies, but in refusing to let strangers die alone. In the depths of space, human ships continued their patrol routes, listening for distress calls. The galaxy had learned that Earth would always answer. But Earth had learned something too, that saving others was not just the right thing to do, but the thing that made them most human. The rescue of the Wanderer's Hope had ended 6 months ago, but for humanity, the rescue mission would never end. There would always be someone out there who needed help. And Earth would always be listening.